Hello everyone and welcome to another Middle Game episode focusing on passed pawns with Coach B from MasterChess.com. In this video, we're going to take a look at a game played in 1957 between two famous chess players, Boris Spassky and Lev Aronson. So I'm just going to fast forward through the moves and stop at the critical moments of this game. And this is the position that was reached after 15 moves. So far, no major exchanges have taken place. Therefore, the battle in the middle game, it's going to be between White's central pawn majority versus Black's queenside pawn majority. You could see in the center that White has 3 pawns versus Black's 2 pawns, while on the left side, Black has 3 pawns versus White's 2 pawns. Now, in general, pawns in the center are a little bit more important. So from here, the game continued with a takes on b5, knight takes b5, b takes b5, a takes b5, b7, and now knight to d7. Coming back, here moving the pawn to c4 is also an option, but it's not the best option. And the reason for that is that this pawn now is firmly blockaded by the knight on c3. And after something like rook to a1, Black will have to worry about an eventual e4 to e5 push, also facing pressure against the pawn on b5 after something like rook to a5, where the knight and the rook will fight together against that pawn. So coming back, knight to d7 was played, and the game continued with queen to c2, queen to c7, king to h2, bishop to a6, knight to d1, rook b to c8, rook to c1, also doubling up on the file, queen to b7, exposing the rook for a potential breakthrough where the queen will be hit, queen to b1, moving away from that file, rook to c7, knight to e3, and knight to f6. And I want you to notice how both players take their time to place their important pieces out of harm's way and also trying to activate the minors on the best squares possible at the moment before starting a pawn breakthrough. And now it's white to move, and as the king and queen are out of harm's way, it's time to put that pawn majority into action. So the game continued with an excellent move, pawn to e5. After this, Black responded with d takes on e5, then pawn to d6, attacking the rook. Black responded with rook c to c8, and now f takes on e5. Black responds with knight to d7, and then knight to g4. And I want you to notice how White's central pawn majority is gaining a huge dynamic advantage after being put into action, as it's grabbing more space in the center and chasing Black's pieces away. Now White has to be careful of holding on to those pawns not to be gobbled up, especially the pawn on e5, which Black's puts a lot of pressure with the knight, rook, and the bishop. But so far, White is holding on very tight with the 2 knights and the rook. And the game continued with queen to d5. Coming back, moving the pawn to c4 would not have helped Black very much, as after queen to a1, queen to c6, bishop to h6, bishop to h8, and queen to d4 would pretty much favor White, as all his pieces are powerfully controlling the center. Coming back, after pawn to c4 and queen to a1, if instead of moving the queen to c6, Black is trying to push away White's pieces, let's say moving the pawn to h5, attacking the knight. Here, White actually has an excellent move, moving the knight to h6, checking the Black king. Now the Black king cannot move to h7 or h8, as White can simply capture the pawn on f7, gaining a huge advantage in Black's camp. And the only other move would be moving the king to f8. But now the Black king is stuck in the center, and that's not a good place to be. A simple check there would be checkmate. So coming back to move 28, queen to d5 was played. But the game continued with rook c to d1, and now queen to e6. White responds with bishop to h6, bishop to b7, bishop takes on g7, king takes g7, and now queen to c1. Black responds with bishop takes f3, and now queen to h6 check. The king retreats to h8. Coming back, moving the king to g8, it's also losing. After knight to f6 check, knight takes f6, e takes f6, queen takes f6, and now an excellent move, pawn to d7, forking the 2 rooks and threatening to promote to a queen. After bishop to c6 to stop that pawn, rook takes e8 check, rook takes e8, pawn takes rook, promoting to a queen, bishop takes e8. And now after retreating the queen, hitting the bishop and also the pawn on c5, white is up in exchange with the winning game. So coming back, king to h8 was played. After this, white responds with knight to f6, and black took on f6. Coming back, the only way to continue the game was moving the knight to f8, but even here, white is winning with a huge advantage. After the knight takes the rook on e8, rook takes back, and g takes f3, white is still totally winning. So coming back, knight takes f6 was played in the game. White responded with e takes f6, threatening checkmate on g7, so he has to take the pawn on f6, and now pawn to d7, forking the two rooks. Black responded with bishop to c6, and after white captures the rook on e8, black resigned, as white is totally winning the game, being up in exchange and with a huge advantage. So as you saw in this game, a healthy mobile pawn majority can be both a static and dynamic plus. As we saw after marching forward, he was able to chase black's pieces away, grabbing more space in the center, but white was also able to use it dynamically, fighting for an advantage and then winning the game. All right, thank you so much for watching this game, and stay tuned for the next video.